Hello everybody. Could you please sit? It's gonna be starting in like a couple of minutes, but before of that, I'm gonna be doing a super fast introduction of what Attico is. So yeah, hello, my name is Marga, and I work in Attico. Who from here knows what Attico is? What would you say if someone asks you what Attico is? You can shout it out. Tell me. No one? Co-working, okay. What else? That's it. Okay. This is what normally people normally say that. So yeah, we are a co-working, but we are not just a co-working. We are more than that. In fact, we say we are like an innovative ecosystem. And we were founded to help other enterprises to grow faster. So what we do, we say ecosystem because we are not just this co-working. We have 4 different business units. And this is what I'm going to be explaining to you now, super fast. The first business unit is Attico Workspaces, which are our co-workings. We have some here in Barcelona, but also in Madrid. Then we have Attico Living, which is a flexible way of renting places to live. We have different flats in Barcelona in the center. Then we have Attico Lab, which is a booster for startups. And finally, we have Attico Ventures, which is a community of business angels. So this is why we say we are an innovative ecosystem. And our main goal is to create positive impact to people's life and to the organizations. And for those who are interested to pass one day with us in one of our co-workings, you have a poster here with a QR code. You can scan it. You have a code also which says Happy Day, and you can spend a day with us for only €5 instead of 35, which is a great opportunity. So feel free to scan it and to come and join us for one day and hopefully more. So this is what I had to say. This is for me. So I think it's time for Christian. So big applause for him. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I'm Christian. Who knows who the French Chambre of Commerce is? I'm just kidding. I am the French Chambre of Commerce. But thank you all for coming. I think, well, I know there is a lot of competition for these meetups on the mobile week, but this one is great. And when Jerome asked me if I could help him to prepare and to find subjects and stuff like that, I checked on ChatGPT because he get me the subject, how to manage transversal complexity in tech from a product management perspective. So I have 4 points, and I hope you'll focus that. First one is to break down complex tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks. Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, the second one is prioritize tasks based on importance. Yeah, well, whatever. Utilize agile methodology and analyze customer feedback. Okay, so if you check all these points, you'll be great. But more seriously, it shows how Barcelona is an innovative city, and it's great to have you back this year. I just checked that there are, in 2022, there was 2022 startups in Barcelona. How convenient. I don't know if it's one per year. But, and 20% of that companies are founded by entrepreneurs from abroad. And a lot of talent in Barcelona is from abroad as well. So I like to say that maybe Jérôme and I are responsible for a little bit of this talent here in Barcelona, the French Chamber of Commerce and InnoIT. But at least we have 3 great companies that are from France, well, Germany, Norway maybe, or I don't know, yeah, kind of, maybe. And I think this is something that shows our city is attracting a lot of talent. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to work on this subject and have a wonderful evening. And the difference between ChatGPT and that is that afterwards you have beers and you can network a little bit. So let's use it. So Jérôme, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christian. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Jérôme Girard, and I am the founder of InnoIT Consulting. Thanks to the Cámara Francesa de Comercio for making this event possible. A very few words about InnoIT Consulting. We are an IT and digital consulting company with a disruptive position in the market. We support our clients' projects in development, in software development, in big data, in cybersecurity, and in methodology and product. We launched the company 10 years ago in France, and now we are more than 400 people within France and Spain. And we started in Spain 5 years ago, and now we are 150. Today we'll have a 1 hour meetup, then we'll have a 20 minutes of QA question. Next to the speech, we will share some food and drinks. So both in the bar, and also we thank our partner Noah Drinks behind you. Noah Drinks will offer us fabulous non-alcoholic drinks, and we'll have also pizza. To end with InnoIT, you can find our next event in our meetup profile. Meetup InnoIT Barcelona. And you can see that next March 15, we will have a CTO roundtable in Atico Verdaguer. So now I will let Ayushi introduce the topic of today and present our speakers. Ayushi is Senior Lead Product Manager at Manomano. She has 10 years experience in business consulting. I will read half of the view because it will be quite long. She works in digital transformation, on product management. Actually, she has experience in various industries as automotive, retail, fintech, and she lives by agile principle. Thank you very much, Ayushi, to accept this challenge today. And for last, I wanted to thank Alexandre Sutra from Manomano for supporting the event as every year. So thank you, Alexandre.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to have you here, and I'm excited to know that so many people could come here in their Monday blues. Applause for the audience here. So, Jerome already introduced me. I don't need to tell a lot about me, but what I can tell you that in my past 11 years of professional experience, there had been a lot of times where I had sleepless nights, and they were because the challenges my teams were facing, we did not know what were those forces which were making us stay awake in the night, but we later on figured out that those were the tech complexities in our companies. So to avoid the past traumas, I with pleasure invite our speakers here who are going to give you some tips about how can you tackle it in your organization. A big round of applause for our speakers. We have Priscilla, Marseille, and Lydia. Give me 1 second. I didn't. Anyways, so let me tell you what Marseille Garcia does. She is product director at Edwinta. She had a journey of 17 years. She started with mobile sites on dating and with music industry. And then with the iPhone revolution, she moved to eDreams, where she built mobile first solution for 17 million customers. And then later on in 2017, she joined Edwinta as the product director there to lead the real estate solution, Habitatlia and Fotocasa. A big round of applause for Marseille. Our next speaker is Lydia Ursu. She is product lead at CH Code. She started her career 12 years ago in Romania as software tester for Continental. Then she moved to Germany, where she worked on electric cars in BMW. And it was here in Barcelona where she discovered product management, and she challenged herself how she can bring digitalization and product mindset in automotive industry. That is how she ended up finally in CH Code. Right now, she's managing 10 product owners who are building digital solutions for CH, for Cupra, and Volkswagen Group. A great round of applause for Lydia. And our last speaker for today's roundtable is Priscilla Lopez. She's also my colleague in Manomano. She's product director there. She started her career in fashion industry. Around 10 years she spent there in operation and supply chain management. She also has international experience in US. And then her curiosity for technology and her firm belief that technology can change the supply chain and operation management. She moved, and since last 7 years, she has been leading digital transformation in supply chain and operation in various e-commerce companies. Since 2022, she joined Manomano as product director. A big round of applause for Priscilla. Now that we are done with the introductions, I would request the speakers to take their hot seats. And maybe it's time to know who is our target group here. You know about them, but we need to know about you as well. So how many of you are here PMs, product designers, product owners? Can you please raise your hand? Okay. And how many of you are engineers? Wow. And how many of you are here from the business teams like marketing, sales, finance? Okay. And what are your intentions of being here? You are here for the content of the talk or for the free beers? I suppose it's both. They go hand in hand. Okay, so now since we know our audience and their intentions of being here, I think we can directly jump into our topic of discussion today. I think before we start, the most important thing to clarify for the audience is, what does tech complexity means for you and your organizations? I think this is good to set a good ground for the further conversations.
Thank you, Aushi. I will start first. I hope you hear me okay. So before going into the tech complexity, I wanted to say a few words about SEAT Code. So the vision of SEAT Code when the company was created was to disrupt the future of SEAT, the Spanish car manufacturer. And by doing this, it started to take a lot of products and projects and to, let's say, innovate the legacy systems from the car manufacturer. And as of today, for example, in 2017, it started with less than 30 people, and now today we are more than 250 people. We are able to deliver about 30 products and solutions, and this means that we are more than 30 product teams, which is huge, and this brings a lot of tech complexity. And I will tell you why. Actually, the tech complexity comes from the fact that we have different product lines. We have, for example, one product line that it's offering mobility solutions, like Giravolta is one of our applications that we created from scratch. We control the technology and so on. But we also took over other products that are coming from SEAT or from Volkswagen Group. For example, customer experience applications like My Cupra app or Cupra Connect. The Cupra car owners know about these applications that connect to their car. And this adds, again, another layer. But in order that you get to have this car, you also have to manufacture the car. And this brings another tech complexity that is coming from the solutions from the smart supply chain, where it's very difficult and complex to take legacy systems and to innovate them. And in order to do so, we are having lots of product teams that they are able to share knowledge between them, and they are able to not share the same mistakes. So this is where the tech complexity comes from in SEAT Code as of today.
Do we have any Cupra owners here? What we are talking about?
Damn it.
You need to sell also your company a little bit more.
Yes.
In our case, we are doing something very different compared to automotive industry. So in Manomano, for those who don't know our company, we are the European leader marketplace for do-it-yourself home improvement and gardening. So very specialized in this field. We have more than 5,000 sellers and more than 60 million of products, and we operate in 6 countries. Thanks to this, we are attracting around 50 million visits per month. And today, Manomano is employing 1,000 people, and almost half of them are part of the tech community. From those 500, more or less 60 are product managers, and we are organizing around 45 teams. As you can imagine, there's a lot of complexity to be managed. And maybe let's step back to reflect on what complexity is in general, because at the end, complexity is about something that is difficult to be understand, difficult to solve, with a lot of different parts connected between them, connected in a different way. So at the end, we translate this into the technological context, and especially for Manomano, I think that we can say that the tech complexity for me is about having relevant problems that are having high impact on our users, and having a lot of dependencies between functions and between different technical components as well. I think that is something that we need to take into account, all the dimensions, for making the best product strategy and the best decisions as well.
Do we have any DIY enthusiasts here who would know about Manomano? I'm so happy, at least one. And another.
So let me brief you about Adevinta. No? So Adevinta also operates marketplaces. So it's an online classified global group. In Spain, we have brands such as Fotocasa and Habitaclia, but also Mil Anuncios, InfoJobs, Cochesnet. But worldwide, we have, for example, Le Bon Coin Group, which is quite big in France, and we have eBay, Kleinanzeigen in Germany, or Marktplatz in Benelux, and so on, right? So it's a very big group, around 8,000 people, employees, 2,000 of them in product and tech. So it's quite huge in terms of volume. So we tend to operate our brands locally, right? So we have our teams in each market to operate, but we share a lot, and it's been part of our strategy, and it's becoming even more important to share technology and to converge. So just an example, so the alert system we use in Fotocasa and Habitaclia is the same one we use in Mil Anuncios and in Cochesnet, but also our B2B tools are using the stats engine from Le Bon Coin in France, and our login is powered by eBay Kleinanzeigen, right? So just to coordinate all those teams and to make all those roadmaps converge sometimes is a bit of a nightmare, but so.
For your company, I don't think so I need to ask anybody. I'm pretty sure most of us use either Habitaclia or Fotocasa to search for houses, apartments when we move to Barcelona. So at least one company is adding some value here, I think so. So to sum up, complexity can come not only from different business solutions who have interdependence, it can come not only from new and legacy code which mix, and the sheer number of teams which work together. How does your organization deal with it? Do you have an internal team which helps PM navigate through this maze?
In our case, in Manomano, we have a specific role for that. So we have program managers in the product department, and they are helping us to navigate towards specific initiatives, normally transversal initiatives that are having big impact between technical teams and also business teams. So they are helping us in terms of coordination, communication, and also providing visibility across the company. So thanks to their efforts, at the end, we are having more efficiency and we generate better results. I think that on top of this, in my opinion, at the end, we need to have also clear direction. So how to decide how to do it if you don't know why you are doing it. So at the end, I think that we have some elements that are key. One is having clarity in terms of objectives. So I'm a big fan of the OKR's methodology, objectives and key results. The second one is about priorities among those objectives. And the third one is a smart strategy. I think that if you are able to master all those things, at the end, the complexity is being decreased by default in general.
Yeah, I would say that on our side, we also use OKRs, and it's been key for our transformation. So a few years ago in Spain, we decided we need something to align ourselves, and we invested a lot in our strategy and our culture, and we also implemented OKRs. So part of this cultural thing. It was about having very clear the priorities, very clear the objectives of the company, but also working on having empowered teams, those self-sufficient teams who could actually work on the different goals with autonomy. So we implemented OKRs back then, and we have established like a very strict calendar. No? So we start every year thinking about the strategy, defining the goals that we want to achieve as a company, and then later on it cascades. No? So every quarter teams sit together and then look at the goals that they need to achieve. They do their proposals, they review it with the different levels of management, but they also do something that we call handshakes. No? So when you have so many dependencies to align, so basically we try to define those agreements. We sign them off during the quarterly process, and then later on we execute. So we make sure everyone can coordinate with the different teams, even internationally. So that's really important for us. So we don't really have a team per se that actually controls this. It's all of us who know the timelines, but we have a team of agile coaches who help us navigate the complexity and the process, and that also looks for the culture, so we don't get lost. No, and then too many top downs. No, we need to manage that. So we really want to make sure that the teams own and are the teams who propose the OKRs to the management and not the other way around. And there is a lot of alignment. So we have a powerful, let's say, set of OKRs every quarter.
In our side, in SEAT Code, so actually we don't have a dedicated team for that. But as we grew, and we started to take more projects inside the company, and then we gained a lot of fame inside SEAT and Volkswagen Group for delivering and for our innovative and agile mindset. So what we realized is that we needed to put in place a product community. This was mandatory for us. We are, as of today, more than 30 product owners, and it is happening quite often that we deal with the same mistakes. So what we did, we put in place a product community, and we meet every 2 weeks, and we discuss about the problems that we share, about the challenges, we share the way that we avoided the struggles, and this helps us to learn a lot. And for us, the product community, it's very important. And actually, last year, this was super nice because our voice was very strong in the company. So we said that we need more people, cross people in product in the company. So recently we put in place the product leads team. I'm part of the product lead team. And our role is to take care of the product owners, but also to find solutions, cross solutions with the tech directors in order to tackle this complexity and to be innovative, to bring value to the users, and then to also disrupt the SEAT mentality and automotive mentality in general.
Wow. I think there is no single way to tackle this problem. Some companies resort to program managers, or some build a very strong product community. But I think what is most important from this message is that we need to have a shared product strategy. As Jeff Bezos said, that be stubborn on your vision, but not on the details. This fits very well with the explanation. Can you also give us some example from your organization where you personally felt the tech complexity, handled it, what were your learnings, some use cases?
Yeah, I'll probably take that one, and I think that we are facing this every single day. But just to give you an example, no? So on our side, we're operating 2 brands, Fotocasa and Habitaclias, but Habitaclia was acquired by the group in 2017, and those 2 brands were competitors. Everything was duplicated everywhere. All our operations, the way of working was completely different. So just trying to operate those 2 brands at the same time mean for us changing our strategy, changing our operations. So we changed all our integrations in-house. We merged the way that we're working. We merged our tools. A lot of effort designing that. But part of it was also changing the way that our other teams worked. So for example, how our customer care operations were answering the phone, or how our sales work was going in the market and talking to our customers. So we even changed and pivoted our value proposition to our professional customers. So it was not only a technological change, but it changed the organization per se, right? So it was really critical for us. I think it's to not lose the vision, right? So the main learning for us was, okay, what do we really want to achieve? What do our customers want, and not get lost into the business needs, right? So really focus on the customer and that long-term vision, and then try to slice it as much as you can, and try to deliver value in each of the different pieces, right? So because otherwise you can get lost in the big bang, and for us it was critical to deliver value fast, and to show that value, right? So that was really important, and to learn from the process.
In our case, I will give an example, because I was telling at the beginning, one product line that is very challenging is the smart supply chain. So in order that you understand what I mean by smart supply chain and the tech complexity behind it, you have to imagine the car, yeah? We said in the beginning the Cupra Born, it's a nice electric car that you can connect with a phone, it's super cool. But in order to have this car delivered to the end users, you have to imagine that there is a whole big process behind it in the factory. So we have, as of today, 3 teams that handle the supply chain. And I will tell you exactly what I mean. We have the inbound team. This is how it's called. And actually what it does, the team, is to bring solutions to when you create the car, or when you manufacture the car, you have to have all the components brought to the factory, okay? And then they have to be distributed in the factory, and everybody have to know where they are. Then there is another team that it's called the in-house team, and they have to know where the car components are, to bring them all together and to manufacture the car. And from here, we go to the outbound team. It's another team that they also have to know the car has to go to the dealers, and then in the end goes to the end user. So here we have lots of solutions, many teams, many people talking with the factory, and also our vision, like we said, it was to disrupt the way that we manufacture cars. I would say that the key success for us was the communication and strong teams that were able to understand the needs of the users. And when I say users, I mean the people in the factory that they have to manufacture the cars. And also, in the end, the end user that gets the car. So for us, it was very important to listen to their needs, to their pain points, also the ones that work in the factory, in order to disrupt the way that the cars are manufactured. And this was only possible with strong communication between the teams and with trust, so that they really believe that they are bringing the right value to the users.
I think that I can also share some examples, as you, Marcia and Lydia, but maybe if I'm focusing more in a very recent one, we were making some decisions related to product strategy, because we're willing to really increase international sales for our sellers. And at some point, after making those decisions and designing this initiative, we realized that it was not feasible to be launched in this way. So the reason basically was due to some limitations out of us, more related to the sellers. So they were having some commercial agreements with their partners that we are not aware of, for sure. And they were having some other limitations. And when we realized about that, we were needing to really redesign everything again, because that was not feasible to be launched, as I said. And I think that this is normally something that we should be identifying on the discovery phase. But in this case, we were not able to do that properly, for sure. And we identified that a little bit later. The main reason, I think, that it was because of the high number of people involved on the initiative, not only in our side, but also on the business side, and also having very limited data available for making the decisions. So maybe we were anticipating too much those decisions. And I think that in this case, the main learning for us as a team now is to make sure that we avoid biases, and especially when you don't have data, and we can end into a situation where you have very poor user centricity for the solutions, let's say.
Okay, so I think what we need to do is test our hypothesis to avoid biases, to deliver customer value, and also probably to negotiate with the business sometimes, no? We need everything. And also we need to deliver value fast and iteratively. As Reid Hoffman said, if you're not embarrassed of your first product version, you have delivered it too late. So what is the key is to break it into small pieces and use data to make the decisions that fit to your product strategy. We have talked a lot about collaboration, communication. Do you think it is the human factor which is bringing complexity in our organizations?
I totally think that this is a human factor at the end. So we are a human being, we are people, so this is our life. I think that in general we have a tendency as human beings to overcomplicate sometimes simple problems, or the opposite, maybe oversimplify complicated problems. And I think that when we talk about product management, maybe we could think that more complexity is almost better in some cases. So maybe we can think that more features and more features and more features equals more and more value. And sometimes simplicity is enough for users. So we need to take that into account to avoid getting into the complexity trap and to avoid getting in very difficult solutions where we are adding more by default, and it could be counterproductive in some cases. And I think that maybe we have some product managers here in the audience today. Maybe they are familiar with Occam's razor, that is a philosophical principle that basically says that the simple solution should be prioritized over the complex one, especially when both are very likely to be the right one at the end. So.
Yeah, I would say that just sharing a case of a situation. So I was working back in the day at Dreams Digio. Dreams Digio is an online travel group. So it was created by acquisitions, mergers, and so on, went through an IPO. And then the company goes and decides, yeah, we're going to merge all our platforms, more than 35 markets, 8 languages, 4 brands, in one single product, with the idea behind it. So let's develop, and then let's ship everywhere at the same time, in all the brands, all languages, and very fast. We want it very fast. So it was huge. So the project was really huge. As you can imagine, people working from different countries, that they didn't know each other, different cultures. So the project was extremely complex, but the mess was dealing with different people, with different expectations. So I remember that part of the project was just go around Europe, talk to each stakeholder, brief all the offices, and do that again and again and again. So for a few months, I was living in a plane, right? Just to manage people's expectations, just to have everyone on board. Now, so you need to not manage the rational part, but also the emotions in every single thing that you do in something that big.
Like you both said, so I absolutely agree that the tech complexity actually comes from the people, because I think that the products are actually created by people. And when I say people, I mean actually teams and strong teams. But many of you may think that a team is a pack of individuals, right? You take the 3 of us and we are a team. But if each of us has different targets and we work individually in those targets, then we go nowhere. And that's why the complexity becomes bigger and bigger. So I strongly believe that great products are delivered by strong teams.
Okay, so everything is in our hand. Our product destiny is in hand of people. This is what I understand from this. Okay, and do you think that sometimes PMs feel a little bit lost in translation when we say that it's technical complexity, that they leave it to the engineers and say, okay, you take care of it, I don't understand. How do you think product can empower their teams to navigate through this complexity?
Actually, for example, I would say that in general, the product people have different professional backgrounds. And it's very complicated, even for if you have a tech background, to keep up to date. So my recommendation here, and something that I really applied, is to trust the team and to rely on the team and the people that work with you. So one thing that I did together with the team in SAD Code was to trust them. And then I had a very close, like a best friend relation with the team leader, where I could always ask for feedback. She was very nice. She was always challenging me for the better of the product and also for the better of the team. So this actually was able to deliver a good product and to not feel afraid of the mistakes that I could do. And for me, this was very important. And of course, one thing that it happened to me when I started as a product manager, I felt alone in this role. I was in the team and I was the one having to deal with the stakeholders. I was the one that had to deal with many things that I was not knowing if I was doing it right. So here again, my recommendation was the product community. I was able to share with them my struggles. They will have the same struggles, actually, and we were really able to learn a lot from each other. So this is on our case, how we dealt with.
We need to trust each other and our engineering counterparts to give us the right advice when we feel lost.
Exactly.
And I think, Lydia, that as you said, product is in the middle at the end. So at the end, product is where business, technology, and users meet together. So I think that product is in the perfect situation to have a good understanding about complexity. So and this is a very powerful situation to help the whole company to reduce the complexity in general. And I think that if we talk more about the PM's role itself, how they could be reducing the complexity more in a specific way, I think that as product managers, we can define more simple solutions in general and sophisticate step by step. We can also bring innovation and out-of-the-box solutions in general to the company. And I think that this is one of the greatest value of the product managers for a company in general. And we can also find the right balance between benefit and effort. And I think that we need to make decisions at the end. So when there's very limited value for something, I think that maybe we need to also limit our efforts as well. So by doing that, we're going to be able to also reduce the number of topics that we're working on, so we can focus more in the topics that are important for us as a company.
Yeah, I would say, to add on top of that, start from the beginning, right? The beginning is the problem your customers have. So understand very well your customer, set your vision, and then try to slice it down as much as you can using data. I mean, data, you will need data all the time to convince everyone around you. Work very close to your team. So your team needs to own the product as much as you do, needs to know the data as much as you do. Then use your stakeholders instead of requesters as allies for your vision to happen. Work very close to them and then communicate all the time, right? So that's super, super important. Communicate every time, manage expectations. So that's critical in a big project or in a complex project.
Thank you so much, Merce, for summarizing it so well. And of course, data beats opinion, so we need to rely on it. What do you think about the mix of legacy in every company? I suppose we all have, if we are working in a tech company, so we have something called as legacy, who nobody knows what happens, nobody wants to touch it. And we have the new innovative technologies. Engineers always want to work on the new one. How do you manage the balance between the two? How do you help organizations reduce the complexity dealing with the two?
Yeah, I'll take that one. It's been a very hot topic on our site. And I like to say to the teams, it's like, if you clean your house, right, and you need to clean it, why don't you clean your product? And if you want to clean it, you will need to plan for it. And you need to acknowledge that. At Adevinta, we call it debt, right? So we classified it as debt. And there was one thing that we started doing, Alice and Fotocasa Naviter, was, okay, let's classify it. And we decided to start investing 30% of all our backlogs to debt. Debt, I mean, technology, UX, data, right? So it was a starting point. It doesn't fix all your legacy, but in the end, it helps you classify the debt that you have. And you will also see if you have your legacy, or you know exactly what you have as legacy, because sometimes we even don't, to plan for it and say, okay, I'm going to invest that, and maybe I'll just clean this 30%, but next quarter I'm going to invest in that piece of legacy and I will remove it, right? So because everyone wants to engage with the latest innovative technology, but legacy is probably a bit harder to plan for.
You can imagine how this is in automotive sector. So this is incredible. I mean, the legacy code is always there. You have a product that is working, nobody knows why it's working, and nobody is able to touch it. So Well, but one thing that we did, in one product that I was working with the team, we had very strong team agreements. So we said, okay, we have this legacy here, and we don't know what's happening. But what we agreed, and I recommend you to really have these team agreements inside the teams, was to leave always the code a little cleaner. So whenever it was touching for a new feature or fixing a bug, was okay, let's also agree that with each pull request, you leave the code a little cleaner. Actually, this is called the Scout rule, if you can Google it. And this is, I mean, for us, it worked, and it felt that the team is bringing value. And in the end, what we want to achieve is, even though it's a legacy product and so on, we want to bring the right value to the users, and we have to deliver that also with that data. We take decisions with data. So for us, at least, this team agreements and the Scout rule really worked a lot.
Wow. I'm going to Google it up. What is Scout rule?
Actually, it was called the Boy Scout rule, but this is not
Women power.
right.
You can see we have 4 of us
So it's
here.
called the Scout rule.
So, from what I understand, that in today's changing times, both economic, social, or technological, your today's code can be tomorrow's legacy. So you have to always keep in mind how much you invest and what are your returns out of it to make sure your company is working well. Yeah. Okay, I really enjoyed this discussion. I don't know if the audience did. If you did, please have a huge round of applause for our speakers. I hope you could have some takeaways from this discussion, which you can implement in your professional life further. And before we go on munching the real food, I wanted to say, if you have any questions, we have like 20 minutes for question and answer round here. So if we have any curious people who would like to pick brains of our speakers, you are more than welcome. We would have a mic which would circulate, and you can just raise your hand, and Jerome would come to you.
Hello. Yes. I'm Alejandro. I'm CTO in a global lighting company here based in Barcelona. I want to ask, how do you plan a complex delivery? How do you manage stakeholder expectations? And how do you solve what we all try to do, deliver on time?
You asked like 3 questions.
Basically, I'm asking about delivery on time, but based on stakeholder expectations, and how do you achieve this?
Okay, so how to deliver on time and have the right expectations set with the stakeholders is the question.
Well, for me, there are 2 questions as well. And it's sad that I don't have my mobile, because maybe I can check with ChatGPT to see what is the answer. But in my opinion, so basically to manage deadlines, let's say. So specifically in Manomano, for example, just to give you one example, we run PI plannings. So we work by periods that are, in this case, quarters. So we plan the whole quarter, and we have a clear commitment on the deliverables of this quarter. But besides that, we keep on discussing for sure with business, and we keep on defining the whole strategy, product strategy for the long run. But we don't really have clear commitments in terms of deliverables by period after this PI planning. So this is how we manage. So at the end, we manage between the short term and the mid-long term visibility. And this is why I think that for our teams it's quite smooth during the quarter, because they have this kind of commitment and alignment between all the teams, so they can focus on the deliveries. But besides that, I think that is unclear on what will be delivered after more than 3 months.
Yeah.
You need to ask the agile coaches. They would say in product.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Any other question?
Hi. So I have a question, which is in product management, in trainings, we always see a lot of like frameworks, especially very focused, and even this talk has been very focused on talking how product management interacts with engineering, right? But when we are in a company with lots of different products that like they are sharing lots of components, not only components, but we're talking about support team, sales team, right? I mean, you cannot have the support team having always like meetings with all the different products, because then they are only going to be doing meetings and they are not really going to be like, they are only going to be trained, right? So how like, I think that we always miss a bit like that perspective inside of the company when we deliver things to the other, to the customers, that how we transfer that to that transversal side of the company, that's really supporting the value of that product, right? In a way that it's scalable also, because that's especially a problem with big companies, that how do you manage that? I'm very interested on seeing more on that.
Is your question on how product takes responsibility of also supporting and maintaining the product rather than having dedicated support teams, or something else?
Yeah, kind of. But I mean, in the end, it's not product really maintaining that, because there's people, right? I mean, you have the support teams, and especially in B2C might be kind of easier because you kind of might even forget a little bit because you have a lot of data, right? But for B2B context, that's something also that it's a bit different, right? It's more like a bit more, I don't know, how tailor-made for the customers, right? So it's kind of like, I think it's a perspective that is a lot, many times I've seen when we're talking about product management and how we talk with other, with the transversal teams on that.
Yeah, I can probably tackle that because we have been testing an organization concept in the last years now at Adevinta. So we have defined something that we call clusters, which is similar to business tribes, right? So we basically organize our business in groups, which own the business end to end, right? So in those teams, you have people that work together as a team of teams. And then inside that team, you can have product teams, but you also have sales representatives, customer agents, people from marketing, and so on, right? So when we plan the OKRs, we plan them together, and they commit together. So when they need to work on, let's say we're going to launch this thing, so there is a discussion in B2B, like, okay, but when are we going to launch? Because our sales agents will need to go and roll out this, and we need to plan the sales agents, or we will need to plan training for our customer care agents, and so on, right? So those conversations do happen in the OKR setting, and we define them, and that's what I've said before about the handshakes. We agree on that. It's like we need to get that people trained so everyone works at the same time and rhythm, right? So we did this because it was so difficult to get all those people aligned that the first version was try to add those people in some of the liturgies of the product teams, but that was a bit difficult to have maybe a salesperson in a planning. So we did it that way. It means some meetings to work like that, but at least it helps to get everyone aligned.
Thank you so much, Merce. I think it can work also in Manomano. In future, we have to see. Any other questions? Yes?
Hi. As far as I understood, Manomano and Adevinta are using OKRs. But I'm unsure if Seat Code is using
We are doing the same.
You're
We're also having OKRs.
Is there any, so my question, no, different, but is there any other alternatives that you have might tried or that?
For me, there could be some others, but being honest, I'm not supporting them, or at least I was not in an organization that was succeeding in other models. So I cannot give you very good learnings or very good insights from other models in my case.
But you have experienced other ones, and you would choose.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, in my case, the reason why I'm preferring OKRs, just to give you the context, is basically because OKRs could be transversal. So it could be transversal between any kind of team in the company. Could be also having like a big umbrella, so from the executive committee, and doing that top down. You can do also that bottom up. So there's different approaches also for the OKRs. So you can also find your way in your company to make it happen. And this is why I think that is very powerful at the end.
Yeah, maybe I can add on top of that. No? I've used like something similar to North Star metrics, right? So that's another framework. And I think that the challenge is making OKRs work is hard. And some companies are saying like, well, it's a nightmare. We can only evolve product and tech. The other areas don't want to engage and so on. North Star might make it easier, but a North Star, you can have what you call lagging metric. So at the end of the day, you identify a metric that is so far away from what you can do in a team, right? So people have put like their revenues, like or EBITDA. It's too far away from what you can do as a team, no? So you need to identify the levers that you as a team can move. So your goals and your objectives need to be close to what your day-to-day work is. Otherwise, it's very hard. So those frameworks need to be really thought. So they are all valuable. You can prefer one or the other, but you need to take them seriously to make them work.
So first we need to set them seriously, then we need to take them seriously, and then we need to follow them seriously, right? To have data about everything. Maybe we have time for one last question. I remember there was somebody in audience who was interested. Yes? Thank you for passing on the torch.
Hi. Question from a headhunter about talent. I'm thrilled to see that all of you speakers are women. Can we say that gender diversity is more respected in your teams also? As we know, the tech teams are more composed of men. Is there a change with the product management teams? Thank you.
We could say that definitely, right? I'm dealing a lot with the automotive sector that is always full of men. But we can see really in SEAT Code that this balance is really happening. We are more women, and not only in the product side, but also on the tech side. So at least on our side, we really bring a huge impact and mentality-wise.
We were talking about it like just before the talk, no?
Exactly.
Yeah, we were discussing between us that is the first time that I think that all of us, we are women together, what is nice as well. So it's a big surprise for us, but it's nice for sure. I would say that in my case, it's the first time that in my team, I'm having mostly women, and I'm not used to that, what is also great for me. But I think that we still have a lot of things to be done. So we all know that there's no parity, there's no equality. So I think that in product maybe is better compared to other technical profiles maybe, but still not enough in my opinion.
And I think headhunters can help us a lot here to bring.
Sure.
Okay. Is there somebody really who wants to ask something, or you would prefer it over
We're working for the pizza. We have a little delay, so we have time for 2 or 3 more questions, actually.
Oh, there is.
Jordan.
I'm very happy.
Hi, first thanks for the very interesting sharings with us. I've got one question at the beginning. You mentioned that you lead many product teams. How do you deal with sharing information, sharing knowledge between teams?
I think I talked about the community. So we created this community at the product side where we share all our knowledge. But we have also community in the team lead side. We have a community for the designers. We have community. So this means that we have different product teams, and they gather once a month or every 2 months, and they share their learnings. This works in SEAT Code very good, and I really think that I learned a lot from the others in the company. And they also not share only, let's say, learnings, but they share super nice and interesting books. They share also a lot of trainings, and so that we grow in our positions.
Very nice. I think in Manomano we have something similar. So probably every product company who have a strong product community, this is how they share the knowledge amongst each other.
In terms of documentation, I mean, do you have any way of sharing it?
Oh, who likes to do documentation?
Now, in our case, for example, we have 2 different communities, I would say. So one is what we call POPEI, that is the Product Excellence Team. So we have a very active community. So we have volunteers in the product team, and they identify pillars, so initiatives that they want to work on, and they animate among them, and they share with the peers. So this is working great, in my opinion. and it's very nice. Additionally, we have another role that is the product ops role that is helping us in this sense. And yes, we document sometimes, especially about knowledge that could be interesting for the peers. So we have a way to share this knowledge. So documenting is needed. Sometimes it's not fun, but it's useful. And we try to really have a clear collection of all the information. So not only relevant data, but also maybe information about users. So we want all the product community to be aware of what are the main strengths and weaknesses of our users. So we are trying to gather data in general that could be interesting for the product community, and we share thanks to this initiative.
Thanks.
I think the most difficult part is not creating the document, but keeping it updated. But we are working on it. Before we close this talk, do you guys have any final tip, mantra, which everybody can take it from you and be successful in their lives, career?
Well, maybe I would say, based on what I said during the evening today, I would say maybe go for the best, simplest solution possible, and listen to your users.
Yeah, I would say focus on the problem, not the solution. Listen to your customers. I would say try to learn a lot, leverage your data, find allies in your stakeholders, but also have fun, right? So we are always on the spot as product people, so we need to have fun as well in those complex environments.
From my side, I would say that great products are created by great people and great product teams. So build strong relationships with the team, trust each other, and then also at the C-level, so this has to happen at all levels. At the C-level, also empower all of your teams, because when they feel empowered, they really deliver value to the users, and they understand the needs of the users.
I really loved the final tips. At least I'm going to note them down to follow it on my day-to-day basis. Thank you so much for this wonderful discussion. I would like to thank each one of you and congratulate for coming here, sharing your experiences, your challenges, sometimes your failures as well. It was very interesting for us. And I would like to thank InnoIT, Cheers, for organizing and bringing us all together. And now I declare the bar open. I think we can fill ourselves with beers.
Molt bé.